How'd you even make that work? It doesn't even make any sense. I thought we were gonna have to show the picture to Rousseau and Rossi, being like, that's the man we saw. Well, we are now seeing your true features, I presume. Oh, he took off his clothes too. Lift your head, sir, so the court can see your face. It's so clean looking now. How did you put that kind of makeup on your eyes? How did you do that? I was like wondering, like clearly it's disguised, but how did he change his eyes like that? Oh, here it is. Were his eyes always closed? I don't know. It would appear that the defense counsel's assertions were entirely correct. This has all been a very elaborate deception. So, witnesses, tell the court. Have you seen this man before? I don't believe it, but... See? There's a no question. This is the inspector we saw in the park. There's something about his face looks so, like, weirdly realistic. Like, obviously it's still anime, but something about it looks very, like, more realistic than, like, the typical anime face. And it's kind of throwing me off. On the day of the Red-Headed League enrollment, the man claiming to be Inspector Gregson, who appeared before Mr. Rousseau and Mr. DeRossi in the park, was you, disguised as the inspector. Or rather, was you posing as the inspector in no disguise at all. He's got a good face, though. Mr. Vigil was formerly employed as a chief warder at Barclay Prison. The chief warder? In her career at promise. Why you would quite possibly have become the future governor of the prison. What on earth have you been doing peddling tittle-tattle on Fresno Street? Well, it's been 10 years since Mr. Vigil worked at the prison. 10 years. I'm very dreadfully sorry about all of this. Well, yes, it's true. I am daily vigil. And you were the chief warder at Barclay Prison 10 years ago. So where did Mr. Hugh Boone come from? Boone is the other me. It's a name I invented. Oh, I thought you were about to come out saying you had a twin. I was like, no! Well, evidently there's a great deal under the surface here. I'll explain everything. I'll tell you just how wretched my life has become. You can keep up with that voice. As you say, it was 10 years ago now that my employment as Barclay's chief of warder came to an end. He's 40 years old? I think that's what they said, right? He doesn't look 40 at all. Having left the prison service, I searched for some new occupation by which to earn a wage. But times were hard in London, and I found no suitable engagement at all. In desperation one day, I turned my hand at selling wares on Fresno Street. But your wife appears to know nothing of this. She still maintains that you were the chief warder at Barclay Prison. I was utterly determined that my wife should not know of my failings, which is why I never told her. I opened an account at the bank under the name of Hugh Boone, and I rented the cheapest room I could find on Fresno Street. For what? The scene of the very crime you were investigating. But why? Yes, that's right. A place from which I could emerge every morning at 8 as a squalid peddler. So you were making money to support you and your wife this hard? What? How? And while renting a room? What is in that window? Oh, that's just a shop. And transform myself back every evening at 5 into a well-dressed man about town before returning home. That quickly became my daily routine. I was puzzled by the lack of furniture in the room. But that explains it. But why on earth didn't you just tell us this in the first place? I have a wife, sir, and 2 sons. Without wishing to sound self-conceited, they regard me with some pride. I couldn't bring myself to disappoint them. Dumb bitch, now look at you. So instead you decided to conceal your occupation from them. Yes. I've made such a terrible mess of everything. Still, one thing doesn't add up. No matter how many tidbits of information you could sell to passing gentlemen, even at 6 pence apiece, you couldn't hope to match the salary you must have commanded as chief warder of the prison. Very true. To have kept your family in comfort, despite 10 years of somewhat misbegotten employment. That was all thanks to Inspector Gregson. What? What? Inspector Gregson? What on earth? What did he do? It was some years after I invented Boone and begun my other life as a street seller. The inspector, that is, recognized me one day. Do you mean to say the victim was an acquaintance of yours? I knew him from my time working at the prison. When he saw what I'd become, he was deeply troubled for me and my family. And from that day forward, he visited me on Fresno Street with increasing regularity. Then one day, he asked me if I would carry out a secret assignment for him. A secret? What was it? I was to impersonate the inspector. What? Impersonate him? We always met in that little room so the inspector could brief me. Mario, visit RSC tomorrow and take a statement from the proprietress. Wait, he's been acting out as... It was always something along those lines. Surveillance work, interviewing people. On those occasions, he would lend me his identification so people would believe who I was. My instructions were to make an impression, to let people know that Inspector Gregson had been at work. And for those services, he compensated me financially. Surely not. Wait. Scarlet Yard Inspector willingly relinquishes identification into your care would tend to deceive? That, as I'm sure I need not point out, is a very serious criminal offense. But why? What was the point of you impersonating him? I truthfully do not know. All I can say is that the inspector warned me on numerous occasions. Now remember, Vigil, I need your solemn word. You don't blab about this to anyone, alright? Ever. Even if, well, if I end up a croaker. In time, he started to bring papers with him to the room as well. It became something of a second office for him. So, in fact, the person who declared himself to be Inspector Gregson at the park on Lime Street was really... Yes, it was me, acting on the inspector's orders. As usual, I removed my Boone disguise, and then when I was instructed at the park, armed with the inspector's identification book, it never occurred to me that the bruise on my neck might give me away. So layered, because then that means Gregson has many occasions been somewhere else when he should have been on the scene of things. But how far does it go? A part of me was thinking, like, is he fucking evil? Has he been the one killing people? But then who would kill him? But now I'm wondering if he's been in secret just investigating things like from 10 years ago, and then he brought himself to, like, I'm still thinking about the whole, like, him being in Paris and got killed in Paris. Well, I guess we'll find out. It would seem this confession completely destroys the defense's case. Uh-oh. Hold up. Uh-oh. Oh yeah, I forgot about Zeke's! Explain yourself, Prosecutor Asogi. My learned friend's assertion was as followed. The victim was killed at another location on the day before his corpse was discovered. At the hands of these two red-headed League men, when they imprisoned the inspector. But No, that can't be. How rude is it? Well, how can he be such a delicate man if he was working as one of the people who like killed people? I know he wasn't the one doing the actual hacking, but like, don't you need to be hard in order to work? Maybe that's why they let him go. I don't know. After all, it wasn't the inspector who went to the park that day. It was me. Oh goodness. Finally, we have clarity. We had nothing to do with the murder of the inspector. And merci, Monsieur de la Défense, for proving it. But... Ah! Order! Order! Indeed, it would appear that we have reached a de facto conclusion of sorts. Those witnesses had no involvement in the murder of the victim. As proven, somewhat ironically, by the defense. I hereby call an end to the cross-examination. But... Right. There's still more to unravel here. Pardon me, my lord, but with your permission, I would like to pose one further question to the witness. Kazuma! Or question, counsel. It concerns the event of 10 years ago. I believe you would have been present at the very significant execution that was carried out at the time. 10 years ago? His voice, the voice that I've given him doesn't suit him at all, but whatever. It's too late to say that. The execution of the professor, Genshin Asogi. I want to know exactly what your involvement was. Answer me, man. One moment, counsel. Is this related to the current case? No, but shut up! Naturally. It is the prosecution's belief that this case and the event of 10 years ago are inextricably linked. Oh yeah, right, makes sense, Gregson. Does the defense concur, counsel? Yeah, dog. I want to know too, even if it doesn't. Kazuma, you're not yourself. You're not as calm as collected as usual. Poor Kazuma-sama. No wonder he's acting this way. Mr. Vigil's memories of what happened 10 years ago would tell the tale of Genshin Asogi's last moments. His own father. I know. I do understand that. But even so... Prosecutor Asogi. No! Wait! Do you genuinely believe that this question requires an answer in order to learn the truth behind Inspector Gregson's death? I need you to trust me. Please. Do it for your friend! Do it! You wouldn't be here without him! Very well. Then the defense has no objections. I see. In that case, you will answer the question, witness. The truth is, I remember very little of that time. You've forgotten? How do you forget something like that? I'm sorry to say, yes. As I've said, I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. But for some peculiar reason, my memory of the events leading up to that moment is extremely hazy. That's of no help to us at all! Does that not strike you as strange, Mr. Naruhodo? Yeah, also, it was the first ever Asian to be executed in this country. He wasn't executed there, but, you know, the first Asian to be given the capital punishment here. How could you forget that? Sorry? Well, 10 years is a long time. But I've forgotten the reason why he left such an important job. Yes, you're right. And not only that, Mr. Vigil's claim contradicts what we already know. The human spirit is a fragile thing. It's broken all too easily. Which is why we have a tendency to wrap it up for protection. What was it? What was the relief of this post for having violated clause 132, aiding and abetting the escape from this prison of convict just prior to his education. Oh, right, okay, it says it here. Sorry? The human spirit? I'm afraid I don't understand what you mean. When we experience pain and suffering that we feel unable to bear, we block it out. obliterated from our memories, sealed it away. But it never truly leaves us. If the seal is broken, the memories resurface. And when they do, that fragile spirit may finally be crushed. But I really don't... Kazuma-sama... But if it must be crushed, then so be it. Because the truth will not stay buried. It's coming out, one way or another. Right. Now I understand. It's clear what his intentions are. He means to expose the truth, at any cost. Perhaps if I pointed out the contradiction in what Mr. Vigil claimed earlier, it might cause some crucial memories to return to him. But should I? Should I present the evidence or not? Why am I giving it to... I want him to do it. I'm curious, bitch. I have no idea how this is going to go. But this is a court of law, and I have a duty to pursue the truth. Mr. Vigil, I'd like you to look at this. Evidence that clearly contradicts your versions of events. I'm assuming it's this, right? What else could it be? Just a few moments ago, you made the following statement. I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. Okay, yeah. He didn't resign, he got fired. Well, yes. In other words, you claim to have left the post of chief warden of your own volition. Well, yes, of course. Why? Tell me. Do you remember seeing this document before? No, I don't. This is the dismissal notice ordering the immediate termination of a prison staff member's employment. A dismissal notice. And the name on the notice is yours, Mr. Vigil. What? What? It's mine? So you didn't resign from the prison service at all. For some reason, you were dismissed as chief warder from Barkley. No, there's been some mistake. I'm sure I tendered my resignation. This dismissal notice is nonsense. Oh. Is it? If you were forcibly dismissed, there must have been good reason. Clearly, you did something. Well, this music is creepy. Mr. Vigil, it's time to break the seal and have you remember. Whoa, I hate this music. According to the few remaining records, the final execution that you supervised was on 17th June 10 years ago. And on that day, something very serious took place at Barkley Prison. The 17th of June. Was that the professor's execution? Professor? As you were the chief warder at the time, it stands to reason that you would have been present throughout the proceedings. It does sound familiar. And yet, the execution never took place. The convict, ostensibly executed earlier that day, later re-emerged from his grave. The convict came back to life. In the cemetery in the middle of the night, there was a witness. However, the witness claims that a moment after he saw the convict clambering out of his grave, a gunshot rang out from over his shoulder, and the bullet pierced the professor's chest, killing him instantly. Those may have been the professor's actual last moments. Yes. Seeing as you were in charge of overseeing executions at the time, you must know the truth about what really happened. It's in your head, somewhere deep down. Well, Chief Warder Daily Vigil, I know there are memories in your head that can explain what happened on 17th June 10 years ago. And now it's time for you to drag them up. Mr. Vigil? Yeah, the whole prison. It was complete chaos. The prisoner escaped. He was killed in the cemetery. The shocking news ripped through Barkley like a hurricane. What? What? He escaped and he was killed in the cemetery. What?
Order! 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 Dude, so you mean to say, Mr. Vigil, that your memories of the time have returned?
My head is... It's like some floodgates have been opened. The images, the screams. Oh my goodness. The papers. There were reports, articles about a man who'd seen a ghost. Yes, an October.
But surely those reports were exaggerated.
Weren't you there for the case? There were traces at the scene. Traces of what? Blood? In Lowgate Cemetery, at plot number 139. Blood. Lots of blood. That's where the man was buried, of course. Obviously, something terrible had happened there.
The depths of conspiracy and depravity from Morse's tales emerging are quite staggering.
I reviewed the police records from that time extensively. A thorough investigation was conducted by Scotland Yard to ascertain how the convict managed to escape in the first place. And the conclusion reached by the investigating team was that a member of the prison staff must have been involved.
Are you suggesting that a prison warder abetted the man's bid for freedom?
It was written in the dismissal notice. Yes, and I was suspected of doing it. Of using that mass murderer's execution as a way to help him escape. You did what? You were suspected of it? Oh, so it wasn't you? I remember now. The horror of it all is coming back to me. One evening, a few days after the execution, some detectives came to the prison. It was called the governor's office at the top of the watchtower.
Kaden?
Oh, he's Scottish. What does Dag sound like?
Oh, I don't know what Dag sounds like. I don't remember the accents. I'm sorry, Daddy. This is Sarah's birthday, but I cannot help you know. As chief warder, you were responsible for overseeing the execution of Ford, no? Whatever. Well, it seems that the fellows of Scotland Yard want to have a few words with you about it. You'd better pack your things, laddie. You're to attend in person. Whatever.
As soon as he told me that, my mind just went completely blank. And the next thing I knew, The professor, the most hated killer in our country's history. And I let him escape. I'm finished. My life. Why is it zooming in on the window? It's over. What? That scared me. He jumped out the window? No, he didn't. That's crazy. He might have. I don't know. I mean, it showed that we showed that he went through the window.
Order! Order! Bailiff, fetch a doctor at once. Orders adjourned for the day with immediate effect.
Oh my goodness. I wasn't expecting him to talk. Mr. Vigil's collapse. Proceedings came to an abrupt end for the day. Once again, overshadowed by the legacy of that notorious killer, appearing like a cursed ghost ship on a foggy ocean. Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Vigil, Kazuma, and Gregson. All of them bound by invisible chains, anchored to the same wreckage in the murky depths of the past. The miraculous light that had been trying to cut through the gloom and shine of those tragic events
もうそこまで迫っていた
was playing on the edge of truth at last. Is it a to be continued? It is! Ah, fuck. I want to know what happens, but it's getting late. We'll have to pick this up. Well, for me, I'm gonna pick this up next time. Oh my god! What? Dude! Oh god. There's so... Ah! We still need to find out who killed Gregson. Was it not... Is it not Vigil then? Man, I thought for sure Vigil was gonna be the one who was killing people off. But judging from what we've heard, it doesn't sound like that's the case. It must be someone else then. Maybe someone we haven't met yet? Jikoku is still suspicious as hell. He definitely had Gregson. Gregson was definitely killed in Paris or something. I don't know. I'm still thinking about that trunk. You can't bring up the trunk and then not assume that I'm going to be thinking about that trunk, dog. God. Oh, God. I want to... God damn it. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're as invested in the story as I am, because I really need to know. Well, now it's like, if this is confirmed that Gregson is really dead, who the fuck killed Luigi? I'm so late with that reaction. Because I thought for sure he wasn't dead. But it seems like he's dead. Damn it. Fuck. Alright. We'll find out more next time. I hope I can play this soon. Okay. Goodbye! Yeah. Ow! My nose!